One of the reasons for getting into JOYTOY figures is the secret dream of recreating those huge and crowded battles that we see in many artworks over the internet and in books. Or, at least, recreate a tiny part of those amazing martial sceneries where masses of figures fight each other for some reason or not. While this is probably going to stay like that for most of us, we could still try to beef up our army while also trying to save as much money as possible. This is where army builders enters the stage, or better, our shelves. We all have some favorite character or set of characters that we want to place in the center of battle in a scene and add some appearances for more Warhammer pathos by crowding it. For example, you may want your Gravis captain swirling his sword while leading a line of intercessors, or you have your amazing dreadnought leading the charge of your Imperial Fists Marines, or you have a captain commanding his troops from the height in the battlefield, or maybe to just have a crowded mass scene, and you need many figures for that. JOYTOY has released this kind of army builder Space Marines. They trade the paint finishing for the price. You can use them as they are, tinker a bit with them, and then use them to fill the gaps in your display shelves, since they are not as expensive as other higher quality figures or named characters. Is the price-quality ratio worth it? Well, that is up to you to decide, but I wanted to give it a try on my own, and maybe this will be helpful for you too. Let's start. I got a couple of Ultramarines Intercessors and 3 Imperial Fist Intercessors, so we will see these two types here. I'm not actively collecting either Blood Angels or Space Wolves, so I think you will forgive me for that. These army builder intercessors have a pricing that depends on the specific store you use, but they are usually the cheapest Space Marine figures around. The box is pretty much the same as any other JOYTOY figures, only the graphics changing. It is the standard JOYTOY packaging too, so nothing new to add to this. The nice thing of these boxes are the many accessories, spare hands and weapons provided, so you have more options for differentiating your displays, or, if you have been collecting these figures for some time, increase your collection of plastic accessories that you will probably never use. And there is a transparent plastic base if you need some exceptionally dynamic poses. Looking at the figure itself, instead, it is a classic intercessor body with a less detailed paint job for both the armor and the accessories. You can see that it's flat blue with a complete lacking of any shading or highlights. Blue, white and gold blend fine, and from a distance and in a crowded display it is difficult to spot these differences. Articulation is as expected, with good arms and legs articulations, including body torsion. Intercessors are pretty good in all but horizontal arms raises, but because of the pauldrons. Do not expect perfect T or X poses anyway. The backpack follows the same pattern and it is installed in the usual way, no problems with peg alignment in any of the tested figures. What I was looking for my Ultramarine Grant was a bolt rifle, and each of these intercessors is provided with one. The details may change depending on the chapter, but roughly they are the same weapon with flat painting. If you want more, you can paint them by yourself. Not bad anyway. Then a classic chainsword, again pretty dull, but in a crowded environment you won't pay too much attention to these details. And then 2 pistols, one that can be directly handled and other that is holstered. You probably want to coordinate your accessories depending on what you decide to use. Finally, we have 4 bigger hands for different scenarios, including a left trigger hand. Once you have equipped your intercessor, the final result is not bad at all. You can have fun painting it by yourself if you want more details, otherwise you have something that you can pose on the background and give depth to your ranks. Figures are pretty solid, they hold their weapons and poses without any issues. I can now confess that a good secondary effect for me from collecting a few of these army builders was also to gather some big hands and help my poor heavy intercessors and eradicators to better hold their huge weapons. You can see the difference, and these hands are now standard with all recent figures from JOYTOY, not just these army builders. Note that these big hands are conventionally called 3.0 hands in the community, but this is not an official designation from JOYTOY itself. So the Intercessor is a good army builder, but you will probably find out that there are another very close variant, more expensive, called Assault Intercessor, which JOYTOY released some time ago and it is still available on many stores. It is more melee focused, so you can see some details changing on the left pauldron, forearms, waist and markings, and especially the different painting. The Assault Intercessor has a darker base blue color with shading applied all around and generally better paint job. But they come with no bolt rifle, only a pistol and chainsaw. JOYTOY has changed the tone of ultramarine blue across different releases and figures, so if you are an ultramarine collector you are probably used to have all kind of shades of blue in your army. And the intercessors are no exceptions. Enjoy the variety, I guess. Other differences that you will spot are the proportions between the different parts, but these are more dependent on the different molds used for the body parts, especially torso and abdomen. Assault Intercessors come with smaller hands though, so keep this in mind if you are looking for collecting big hands too. And since I love Calgar, let's put him here for comparison without any special reason. So far we've seen Ultramarines, but what about Imperial Fists? To be honest, the yellow color suffers more than Ultramarines blue from the lack of shading, at least this is my taste. It is the same box, it is the same equipment, same general mold, but different colors and minor details with accessories themselves. I think that Imperial Fists benefit more from orange or dark brown shading, since the yellow used here is pretty dull. So for these yellow guys I would recommend at least a step with some inking or Gundam marker in order to make the recesses pop up. I gave mine a first pass with some black washing, which improves the result, but it is still a far cry from an older figures like Lieutenant Trashus here. You can see how orange shading really improves the overall look for the Imperial Fists, but at least giving some thickness to the recesses improves things. There is probably a need for more, but since they are often in the background, this is not a very hard problem. But Imperial Fist intercessors suffer more than the ultramarine variants of this lack of careful painting. They require some help, that is sure. If you look at previous intercessors releases, sergeants and lieutenants, you can see how that orange-brownish shading that makes a lot of difference. I would have liked the weather painting style, but brown shading is still great improvement. Fortunately for the legionaries from the horusheresy era, we may expect something better. Hopefully JOYTOY has learned a lesson. What do you think? Did you get some intercessors? What are your feelings here? Are they meeting your expectations? I personally don't need more of these. I'm not going to reproduce tabletop games in my shelves, and I'm not really into custom figures. But maybe you have use cases in mind? Let me know in the comments section below. My personal advice is to consider them if you are building a crowded display or if you want a starting point for your custom figures. You probably know how to swap parts and to apply cool painting. I personally look forward to figures that look better out of the box. JOYTOY is quite a bit a hit or misses when we talk about painting quality, with some amazing figures and some others less so. Probably due to prioritizing frequency of releases over the price and quality, and better defining the customer segments and probing the market. But anyway, they have their market. That's all I have to say on the topic. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, have a nice rest of the day, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.